Sofia thought she was getting very good at answering hard questions by the third year of therapy. She could talk about stress at work. She could talk about problems. She may even say in a broad way that she had a difficult childhood. But that day, her therapist wanted to hear something smaller. She was asked to share a specific happy memory from middle school. Sofia made an effort to find any memory. She could feel herself working hard. She reached for a classroom, a hallway, a lunch table, a birthday, a joke, a teacher's face, or any other scene that would have any detail. There was nothing, though. It was not fog or confusion. There wasn't anything she could nearly recall. There was just an empty place inside where a story should have been. Finally, she said, "It feels like stepping into a room and finding it empty." She thought this would make her feel sad, but instead, she just had a feeling of discomfort that came from knowing you had lived next to a room for years and never noticed it didn't have any furniture in it. After that, Sofia couldn't stop noticing how empty that room was. She knew middle school was challenging, but she needed to understand why there was a whole part of her life inside her that had a label but didn't have any scenes. Before we begin, a quick note. The stories on Veiled Intent Stories are fictional composites created for entertainment and educational purposes only. They are not based on any specific real individual, and nothing in this story should be taken as a psychological diagnosis, medical advice, or legal advice. In the present, Sofia is the kind of woman people call together. She is successful at work. She knows when people's birthdays are. She is there for her friends. She attends social events. There is nothing about her on the surface that makes it seem like she is missing a chapter. But for years, she has silently detected something strange in everyday conversations. On many occasions during dinner parties, someone brings up stories about school, a disaster in the classroom, a haircut that made them feel terrible, a close friend, an instructor that everyone liked or was afraid of. Sofia smiles, gives herself time, and talks about something factual instead, like the name of the school she attended and where it is located. This type of explanation may seem helpful initially, but you soon realize it is not a story at all. In the past, she didn't think much of this. She was not aware she had so many blurry memories from the past, but the pattern looked different following that therapy session. She realized that whenever she tried to reach for those stories, there was often nothing clear she could remember. That revelation didn't make her anxious, but instead she started to pay more attention. The therapy session opened something up, and after that, Sofia started writing down anything she could recall. They were not really memories. They were more like the shape of where memories should have been. She wrote down what she knew: the school's name, the 5th grade teacher who wore colored scarves and spoke in a clipped voice, the path from the gate to the building. She remembered how she could see the oval from the classroom window. But when she tried to get from facts to scenes, what the corridor smelled like that day, who sat next to her, whether she felt relaxed or tense, the details were not there. At first, she felt that maybe the time had just been routine. Then she saw how unlikely that was. Childhood doesn't go away just because nothing happened. It disappears more regularly because too much of one event happened, and the brain learned not to keep opening the drawer. The piece that changed everything came up practically by chance. Sofia was talking to her mom, Elena, on the phone and asking about old school pictures. In a tone that sounded like someone talking about bad weather, Elena said, "I might still have the class picture from when those girls were bothering you in middle school." Sofia stopped talking, not because she suddenly thought of them, because she didn't. Those girls. The phrase hit her like a reality that should have been normal but wasn't. Almost immediately, another realization followed. Her mother expressed it in a light way. It had been somewhat annoying, but not excessively so. Not a daily social interaction that significantly altered her entire neurological system. Sofia started to get better over the coming days in recovering some feelings or contours. Being at lunch and having a feeling of loneliness, people around her made plans and didn't include her, which deepened her sense of isolation and made her feel invisible in social situations. During group conversations, people often talked over her, leading her to feel that the only safe choice was to remain quiet. There was not one day that could be framed and remembered. There was just the feeling of quiet exclusion, routine enough to be important, yet common enough to remain unnoticed. The second layer came next. Sofia could hear her mother's earlier answers very clearly, even though the school scenes were mostly blank. "You're too sensitive. If you don't pay attention to them, they'll stop. Don't let silly girls get to you." When she reached for her mother for help, what she got was minimization. This pattern is called overgeneral autobiographical memory, or OGM. After experiencing trauma, people can become much better at retrieving summaries of events rather than specific scenes. They know school was hard, but the mind stops going further into the exact day, the exact conversation, and the exact feeling. The mechanism used for this pattern is called functional avoidance. In simple terms, the brain learns that being specific hurts, so it stops the retrieval process before the uncomfortable material is fully visible. The downside is that the blurring might go beyond traumatic recollections and make it harder to get to particular personal details in general. And when the source of protection is also part of the injury, as Jennifer Freyd's betrayal trauma theory helps us understand, the mind has even more reason not to look too closely. Her mind did not tell her the truth. It kept her safe. There is a difference, yet the price may look the same from the outside. When Sofia could talk about the pattern, it was simpler to see how much it cost. She had been puzzled for years about how certain everyday things could make her feel awful so fast. There were several situations where she could become uncomfortable without a logical explanation. A coworker who kept talking over her in meetings, a group of friends making plans in a side thread that she only learned about afterwards. At a table, she felt her body tense up when two people next to her started talking as if she weren't there. None of these things were exactly like being a kid, but they were close enough to rhyme that her nervous system knew what was going on before her mind could figure out why. Sofia hadn't linked those reactions to a history because the past was blurry. She had thought of them as a flaw in her character. Perhaps she was too sensitive and overreacted often. And the most shocking part of that realization was that she had said those words to herself. What she didn't know is that they were borrowed words. They had first come from the person she asked for help, her mother. That's one of the things that emotional minimization does. It doesn't just make a child's pain go away right away. Years later, it could be the voice they use to dismiss their own alarm. So Sofia got really good at making excuses for the signal. She even stayed in friend groups longer than she should. She put up with small disrespect at work just because she didn't trust her body's response to it. And to be fair to Sofia's mother, she was not trying to cause any harm. She might have learned, long before Sofia did, that the best way to deal with some kinds of pain was to make them smaller. But what worked for her might not work for Sofia, and could even cause damage because of not being recognized. Sofia was not failing to read the room. She got it right a lot of the time. She just didn't believe that her reactions might be part of a pattern that has been going on for a long time. She does not suddenly remember everything at the end of this story. The research does not guarantee that outcome, nor should the story. What changes is more useful, and in its own quiet way, more important. Sofia starts to build specificity forward. She stops rushing through the present and starts asking more of it while she is in it. What did they talk about at that meeting? What expression crossed my face when I was interrupted? Which friend made room for me and which one didn't? What did I feel in my chest before I talked myself out of it? It will take her a long time to heal. It is actually a very tiring process and will not make a movie of the past, as it involves confronting painful memories and emotions that can be overwhelming. But it does something important. It helps her become a reliable witness of her present life. This changes how she approaches each situation. She asks more direct questions. She notices when her body contracts around quiet exclusion and does not immediately argue with the signal. She becomes gentler with the younger part of herself that adapted by flattening detail. That child was not weak. She just learned how to function in an environment where being specific had become painful. And little by little, a different kind of archive begins to form, not a past that can be put together on command, but a present that is no longer left behind as it happens. And maybe that's why this story hits so hard for people who recognize parts of it, because it provides a gentler explanation for why certain aspects of the past may seem absent. Have you ever noticed blank spaces where something should be and wondered what your mind might have decided you didn't need to carry? Betrayal leaves clues. Psychology reveals them.